Hello and welcome to another Gameplay Monday on a Tuesday, where we use a split screen method to look at two junglers simultaneously and look at what they're doing well, as well as what they can improve on. After some devastating tech issues and my computer deciding it no longer wants to be of this realm, we are finally back and I'm looking forward to making consistent videos again. And in this one, we are going to be looking at a slightly more niche jungler in Twitch versus a very popular and versatile jungler in Kayn. Now this is a high MMR game where the Twitch knows very much what he's doing, but the Kayn isn't really a Kayn player and so makes some low MMR mistakes, and I felt it was a good opportunity to look at the difference between good jungling versus bad jungling, where you can get tips of what not to do as well as what to do no matter what jungler you're playing. And if you are auto-filled, you can learn a lot from watching this Kayn and what I say about their playstyle in particular. And now going forward in these versus gameplays, we will have the game clock showing at all times to give you an idea of what phase of the game we are actually in. And as you see, the Twitch is getting a leash for his red, as the Kayn is as well. The Kayn, however, doesn't bother to sort of drag the red buff to the direction he wants to go into next, while the Twitch does. Now, most people think the Twitch is going to do red and then cheese gank a lane, and it's the same thing with the Camille. When you have a single target focused clear, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can go to the opposite side scuttle and your blue buff as well as the Gromp if ganks do not present themselves. In this case, the Kayn has gone from the red to the Raptors, doesn't really do it in the most smooth way, and is forced to smite for fear of losing the aggro on the Raptor. Now that's a byproduct of doing the camp entirely wrong. I've made many videos on jungle clear efficiency, which I will link if you're interested in honing that particular skill. But because of this decision, when he runs into the Scuttle Crab area versus Twitch, Kayn doesn't do so well against ranged junglers level 2-3, especially around scuttles. He has to pull off because he doesn't have smite to win that contest anyway, and now he wants to move to the top side of the map while the Twitch secures the Scuttle Crab. Now in this case, when you know where a camo champion is and you can deduce what their next moves are going to be, it's very important how you play around that in the next few minutes. In Kayn's case, you know Twitch has definitely not done Raptors. You would have pulled up his CS count, you saw him come straight at the spawn to the Scuttle Crab. That means his Raptors and Krugs are up. You can easily take that Scuttle Crab and Twitch's topside jungle, leaving behind a baby camp to further stifle Twitch getting that level 6 power spike. And some people don't like when junglers move straight across the lane in vision, especially low MMR players, to say, well, why are you showing yourself? Doesn't matter. They know where Kayn is. Now it's about efficiency in your next move. Looping around all the way behind just to get to the Scuttle Crab only delays your possibility of taking the Scuttle and Twitch's topside camps when they know you're going to be there anyway. Now, however, because Kayn went across the mid lane, that means if the top laner has lane priority, which the Fizz does in this case, he knows where you're going to be and he can move on down to contest you, which is of course what he's doing to the Kayn, trying to kill him and battle him out of his own jungle. If the Kayn had done the Scuttle into the Twitch's Raptors and Krug camps, he wouldn't have been there, and the Fizz would have at best gotten a ward down, and Kayn could have pathed a bit more defensively and placed a ward down himself. Keeping an eye on lanes like that, keeping a thinking process of where the Twitch is going to be and what you can take from him. The Twitch in this case has been quite calm. He took his blue, looked for that cheese gank in the mid lane level 2. You want to try and get pressure off early as Twitch. You have that camo, it's a huge advantage, but nothing comes of it, and he goes and takes his Grump. But from there, he doesn't stop. He goes immediately down to the bottom lane. The Thresh sets it up very nicely, and they're able to take out the Soraka for that first blood. Pathing to the camp you want to take next after basing is very important, so you can maintain good camp sequencing off their respawns as you go throughout the early game. Now in this case, because of Kayn's misplay in the early game, Twitch has all his topside camps up, and Kayn got pushed out of his own jungle, leaving up a lone Grom camp, which is quite frustrating when your Krugs and Raptors as well as bottom side Scuttle are going to be spawning. So in this case, he goes to take his Gromp and then is going to head to the bottom side of the map. Twitch takes his Raptors and looks for a gank in the mid lane, but because of this, Kayn is in prime position to do a counter gank. He was pathing close to mid lane, and you have to do this when you're versus Twitch, versus Shaco, things like that. Make sure you're pathing close to lanes so you can be right there for counter ganks when you don't know where they are. At the same time, make sure you're buying a lot of control wards. It really does help. Deep vision versus these champions is what will win you games. This burns Twitch's flash, which is a great win for Kayn. Now what happens is, while Twitch gets a cleanup kill in the top lane, Kayn has eaten his second Raptor spawn, he's taken the bottom side Scuttle, now he's sitting in a wooded bush trying to get a gank off in the mid lane. You have to pay very close attention and listen to this, and no matter what elo you're in, to the lane behavior of the enemy. TF is playing really far back, he has his yellow card. You have no CC to chain with Galio. Galio's low on mana. Wasting time here is absolutely pointless. Twitch just got a cleanup kill in the top lane, he's able to go back and then he'll be up in time for the respawn on his red buff. What you could have done after taking Scuttle is ventured into his blue side jungle, taken his wolves and left a baby one up. You want to stifle his early XP gains while you gain advantages. You could also have taken your Krugs. He hasn't even, Kayn not taking Krugs in the first 4 minutes of the game. And what counter jungling gives you as Kayn is paths to E through walls, which you can use to circumnavigate vision. But sitting in a lane and hovering like he's doing waffling, where you're not gaining any experience, you're not farming. TF knows you're there. The whole enemy team knows where you are, you're not farming, you're not getting form, and you're not doing anything. That kind of waffling and inability to read body language from enemy laners costs you wins in the long run. Now, Twitch knows full well that his camp sequencing is a bit off this game. He hasn't been able to take everything on spawn or rotate nicely around the map. However, because he is Twitch and his red's going to be off soon, it gives him a little bit of a window to do a lane gank on the top lane where he just got a kill anyway and knows the Rumble won't have any way of escaping this gank. Combining with the Fizz gets them another kill, and now he can take his red and then move back down to his blue side jungle. Twitch isn't so much concerned with this power farming nature just because of who you are, but you do want to get off a lot of pressure in lanes, and lane ganks are really powerful if you compare them correctly. Whereas Kayn is very good at power farming and taking camps on spawn around the map, including counter jungling, and he really hasn't done that. He hasn't used Kayn's advantage to gain an experience lead versus Twitch, which is really what you want, in addition to getting your form as soon as possible. However, the Twitch's decisions have forced him to go back a bit more than he would like because of his low HP clearing at this stage, and let's not rag too much on the Kayn. He did soak enough mid lane XP to get him level 6 from his red buff, and now he can get a gank off on the bottom lane while Twitch is actually in base. And from here, again, timing as well as locations of your backs make big differences in games. The Kayn goes back in lane, so the enemy bot lane knows exactly where he is, they know he's going back to base. This gives Twitch time to come on down to the bottom side quite free. He's looking for ganks, he's looking for pressure, and because Kayn would have gone back to base into his blue side jungle most likely, given that respawn is global and they can see it, that means Twitch can roam with Thresh to the mid lane and get a gank off on the Galio. The chain CC coupled with the range, slow, and damage of Twitch means that that's a very easy kill for him to pick up. And now that means they can fall back down to take the dragon. Great source of experience and gold, especially if you're a little bit behind and the game hasn't let you gain as much experience as you would have liked. Seeing the Galio die and then the enemy team head to the bottom side most likely to take dragon, Kayn isn't too concerned with that, clears his blue side camps not in the best order, but he is able then to go to the top lane and grab a gank on the Fizz, which is a great counterplay when the enemy has ganked mid and is taking dragon. You can't do much else, but you can definitely get off a gank, get kills, and get some dings on the tower platings, which gives you some free gold as well. Now that pretty much summarizes the early game phases. The Kayn didn't have the best order of camp clearing, didn't clear them very well, but did try his best to get things going in lanes, tried to make things happen, even if they weren't done in the best way, even if his camps weren't cleared properly. And the Twitch did do his lane ganks, he did try and get his own pressure off, but he wasn't able to really get going, and because Twitch doesn't clear the jungle as fast or as well as Kayn, especially in those 1 to 6, 7 levels, that means he is a bit behind now. However, he is still Twitch, he's still made smart decisions, and he has gotten the dragon. And now, in this beginning to mid-game phase where you want to start to focus on tower platings and getting towers, he does what Twitch is amazing at and what Rengar is amazing at as well, and that's a camo lane gank. He comes in with his ultimate, there's nothing the enemy team can do, and if you want to play Twitch, if you are playing Twitch, look to do this as much as you can. The lane ganks with any form of CC in your laners, of course, is absolutely devastating, and the enemy rarely will be able to ward for them, especially in low MMRs where they're not going to have pinks in the side bushes to spot you at all. At the same time, the Kayn gets a gank off of the mid lane. He does miss his W on the TF, which forces him to have to ult out. You don't really want to have to use your ult to secure a kill if you could have just hit your W, and hitting skill shots and timing is going to be a continued theme going forward, and you will see what I mean. Nonetheless, it's a bit of a battle for the first tower, but really not actually, because one lane has 2 ADCs and the other has a Galio and a Kayn. And even if you aren't able to take that tower, you can take the Raptors, and Kayn does what he should have been doing the whole game, counter jungling and then using his E to escape to safety if he is discovered. It's unfortunate he's only just starting to do it, and his form is significantly delayed because he hasn't really been skirmishing at all. A few moments later, there is a skirmish in the mid lane, where you can see what happens to a Twitch if you get CC'd up against tankier targets who aren't really susceptible to your damage as much as others. He dies, and base form Kayn without his transformation even at this stage in the game is easily taken out by the Fizz, so a good fight for Kayn's team overall. But now we need to look at, right, what's going to break this game open, and the very thing that does is based off of the death timings of their premier skirmish. Twitch died first, Kayn died second, pay attention to that. Twitch then can spawn and move on up with the rest of his team while Kayn is still dead and in base. This means Twitch can go and get a gank off in the mid lane after clearing all of his blue side camps. Kayn had the same idea of clearing all of his bottom side camps also, but because he's a bit behind, he isn't in position to counter gank or wasn't even thinking about what he should be doing other than clearing his camps. Kayn also had triggered his Shadow Assassin form a few minutes earlier, but was waiting to get Rast. Now you can debate that a little bit, thinking, well, perhaps he should have just gone Shadow Assassin given the whole enemy team is squishy, but at the same time Rast is a much safer choice for someone who doesn't really play jungle or Kayn, and at the same time gives him healing and sustainability, versus a lot of their CC and DPS, and at the same time adding a bit of a bruiser function to his team so he can be a bit more of a peel or hard engager as necessary. It's more reliable. Now finally it is time for him to turn into Rast, so he has to go back to base for that after the Twitch's gank in the mid lane, which gave him control over the Scuttle Crab, allowed them to pick up a kill on the Galio, and now gives them a prime seed to take the Mountain Drake. However, because Kayn went back at the time he did, he does arrive in time to contest the dragon, and now he has his form. He doesn't play it cleanly at all, he misses Qs, he misses Ws, you could argue he should have R'd the Fizz, but he wanted to save his ultimate for the Twitch because of his camo and the fact that he is Twitch. However, had he stayed with the Fizz, they probably would have killed him off, and they would have been in position to still take out the Twitch. But you can see with his missed Ws and things like that, it makes it much more difficult to execute in these fights. It was a very messy skirmish. Imagine if he hit all his abilities. Now, I'm not saying I hit all my abilities or any of us do, but Kayn here is going to start missing a lot of Ws that can change the nature of fights and the game, and we'll see what we mean by that in just a second. But despite this, they're able to kill the Twitch and fall back and take the dragon. A great haul for his team, and all stemming from that mid lane skirmish where they had offset death timers and Kayn had to go back again for his transformation. So again, overall probably a good swing for the blue team, but the game is still very much in a neutral state. So the next few minutes are very messy with Twitch split pushing and then rotating to fights. Really doesn't have his camo up, and as soon as Twitch doesn't have his camo and the enemy team CCs you, you're most likely going to die if the enemy team knows to pile on, which in this case they all do. So Twitch is taken off the map twice very carelessly of his own doing. Kayn was also able to secure the Rift Herald with his team following one of these silly skirmishes by Twitch, and in a few minutes you see that Twitch is taking the Mountain Dragon and securing that, while Kayn activates the Herald to finally secure the mid lane tower for his team. Now from here you can see the way the game is going to go. It's going to be about positioning, team fights, and target selection. Twitch needs to position very well away from the Galio and the Thresh, and the Kayn needs to make sure if he's going to dive instead of peel that he's hitting his W. That's a lot of damage and CC that he needs to hit. And finally, the moment Twitch has been waiting for the whole game. He's been farming, splitting, ganking, getting the items ready for a cleanup fight. Kayn has gone in with his team. They do pick up some kills, but he misses a W when he comes out of the ultimate on the Twitch. Caitlyn traps him, they finish him off, and then Twitch unleashes with the Fizz and cleans up the entire fight, which gives them room to do a Baron. Now yes, it's a two-man Baron, and a lot of times in low MMRs, people are too scared to go and do the Baron. It's really much easier to take than it used to be, and when you have Blade of the Rune King and Blood Razor, it's pretty much free for you as long as you have another person with you. You also have to pay attention to the death timers of the enemy team and know that they're not going to be up in time for you to take it, and you can gauge that while the health is dropping on the Baron itself. They're able to secure that and Thresh lanterns the Twitch out to safety. The one time that Kayn doesn't focus on being patient and waiting to use his ultimate on the Twitch is the fight that Twitch unleashes from the backline and cleans up because no one was on him whatsoever. That's why target selection as well as hitting your skill shots and CC on targets like Twitch are very important if you are playing Rast and things like that. I mean, look at what happens right afterwards. Rast hits his W on the Twitch, he's able to ult him, and he dies. They've taken him out of the game and stopped what could have been a very dangerous Baron play. So while Twitch had a nice measured early game, very patient in a strong mid game, his late game has been filled with a lot of pointless face checkings and being caught out. But the one time he wasn't, he was able to wipe the enemy team and secure Baron. And that's why Twitch can be such a strong pick for you if you're looking to climb with a bit of cheese and pressure, as long as you understand how to path and jungle efficiently as well and know where you need to be to secure objectives as well as position in team fights. And if you're the Kayn, you have to pay attention to clearing efficiently and taking advantage of when you know where the Twitch is. He could have stifled Twitch's experience even more than it was because of the way the game was going. Can you imagine being level 7 when Twitch is level 5? Well, that gives you tons of opportunities to invade, get your form earlier, maybe even go that Shadow Assassin and close the game up because they won't be able to stop you before you kill someone with a one-shot. And this game will close another way other than being messy. Twitch demands a lot of focus in team fights and a lot of spells, and because of that his team actually does a good job of cleaning up, but his positioning was not that great this game, and had Kayn hit a few more Ws, even as you see in this final fight, missing W after W, You never know what the damage spike or team follow-up could be if you CC someone, if you get the damage off, if you're able to ult them from that, and as a consequence, the red team is able to push and win the game. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and comment if you enjoyed and learned something. Please consider joining on YouTube to officially become a member and get access to perks. Subscribe for more League of Legends and jungle videos coming very soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.